Hello, welcome to another Legal Firesides chat. I'm Jerome Doraisamy. Today, I'm joined by Sarah-Elke Kraal, who is a lawyer and cartoonist and also a podcast host. She's got a show called The Briefcase Podcast, which is a free 15-minute show for Queensland lawyers discussing substantive law updates. And her LinkedIn page describes her as a starving artist trapped in the body of a lawyer. Sarah, welcome.
Thank you, Jerome. Thanks so much for having me.
Today we're going to be talking about cartooning, which you obviously do. As I learned just as we were going to air, you've done one of me, which I'm thrilled about, and can't wait to see it.
I have just emailed it through to you, so that's for you to keep and to treasure, or to otherwise completely delete. I have had people in the past, which I have learnt from, say that their portraits are horrifying.
Oh,
so there's one very, very prominent figure that I did a portrait of, which has never made it to circulation, by the way. A very prominent American figure that I did a portrait of. And back then I didn't realize that people like flattering portraits. So I did something with a little bit of humor in it and got absolutely eviscerated. So I learnt then that keep the humor for speaking to people and maybe make the portraits flattering. So hopefully you like yours.
Oh, well, I'm very excited, and I'm incredibly grateful to you for doing that work. But tell me about it. So you are a lawyer by training, but cartooning is not just a hobby but a real passion of yours. How and why did you get into this? Was this something you were doing before you were a lawyer?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So back in the day, when you sort of trying to figure out what you want to be when you grow up, one of the first things that I used to say to my mum was that I wanted to be an artist when I grew up. And I grew up in housing commission, so we always were worrying about money. And I remember saying to my mum, I would like to be an artist when I grow up. And she went, oh, no, Sarah, you don't make any money that way. No, be a lawyer. So I was like, oh, okay. So I sort of fought it all the way. It took me about 10 years to do my law degree because it was an absolutely painful experience. I would do a few subjects here and there, and in the background, I was basically trying to make absolutely anything happen in the creative realm. But I got offered a music contract with Universal Music when I was 20, being a singer-songwriter as well. And so I turned that down to pursue law because I thought, no, I'm going to finish this. And there's something about law as well that sort of, I don't know what it is. It anchors me. So I've got these two halves to my personality. I've got the creative side, and I've got the side that's really drawn to law because I love the I can't quite have, this is obviously not coming out articulately, but there's something about law that anchors me, and there's something about legal practice that anchors me. It's sort of like the creative stuff can sort of take you away like a balloon floating away in the sky, and law has always been that little weight at the bottom of the balloon string for me. But it's never gone away, the creativity stuff. And all the way through private practice, when I was in private practice, one of the common questions that I would be asked regularly when people would find out that I was quite creative was, are you sure you want to be a lawyer? And at the time I would always say, yes, of course. But that sort of eroded over time, and private practice wasn't for me. But I found that I still loved the law, and it still was my anchor. So I've found a way around it. In as much as legal education, I love using imagery to communicate complex concepts, and I love just exploring how the visual medium can connect with people, and in this instance, lawyers.
Yeah, that's so cool. I love how you've got these two seemingly contradictory is the wrong word, but seemingly, at a polar opposite ends of the
Yes.
spectrum, interests and passions.
Yes.
But I imagine that there are a lot of complementary things about them both. That if you are feeling stressed and anxious about your legal work, that doing some drawing, doing some cartooning could really help ground you and take that stress away. And then simultaneously, you might feel comfortable about doing your cartooning because you know that you have law as that anchor, that sort of stability and security for your professional life. Is that kind of how you see it?
Yes, that's beautifully summed up, much better than I could ever sum up. So yeah, that's absolutely what it is. And it's my mindfulness activity. So everybody talks about, finding something that can ground you, like you say. And I think it's different for everybody. Some people, go to Pilates or yoga or all that sort of thing. But something that really sort of feeds that mindfulness monster for me is sitting down and knowing that I have art to do. I have artwork to do. And that sort of really grounds me and just fills up my cup and gets me energized for the next day.
You've done a lot of drawings of lawyers in
Yeah.
cartoon form. What is it about lawyers as subjects for art that's so interesting to you?
I think what's interesting is that by and large, the community sees lawyers as it's not very flattering to say, but sort of subhuman. We're not really seen as human figures or empathetic figures. So there's something, I've made so many great connections over the years during my career and also earlier on and my late career. And you get to know people and they are so much more than the work that they do on a day-to-day basis. And I love creating these friendships with the people behind the lawyer mask. So the opportunity to sit down and doodle them, because that's what I say, it doesn't probably come out right, but the opportunity to draw them, it gives me an opportunity to bring out that personality, the person behind, the lawyer or the barrister or the judge. I've drawn the Chief Justice of Queensland Supreme Court, which was a fabulous experience. And I'm interviewing her this Friday, actually, for the podcast. And I've drawn so many barristers and lawyers, and you're just able to get, it's fun bringing out the glint in their eye and bringing out what it feels like to be in their presence. So it's sort of, I enjoy bringing out the humanity and showing that we're all human. We may do law as a job, but it's not what defines us.
You mentioned that, mindfulness and meditation, may not be for everyone. Obviously, drawing is something that has worked for you. But why do you think that lawyers across the board, whether they're at the bar or in a boutique firm, why should they give art and cartooning a try, as a mindful activity? What do you think they could get out of it if they experimented?
Look, there's lots of tools out there at the moment that make giving art a go less of an overwhelming thought. So when you put pen to paper, that is a very mindful activity. But lawyers are very error averse. So we may stop ourselves from trying something if we can't easily fix it or if we're not good at it straight away. The beauty with digital art, and I use an iPad, just a very basic entry-level iPad that keeps crashing on me, by the way. The beauty of these tools is that you can hit the back button if you make a mistake, and you can just keep going and keep trying and keep honing. And it may just be that making your mark on an iPad or a piece of paper is enough, but it's cool to sort of just put pen to paper and see what comes out. It's something that we do as children. I've got a little 4-year-old and she loves making her mark, even if it doesn't really make sense. She loves it. And I think we lose that as we get older and we get, drawn into the less social aspects of our devices. But this is a way of sort of clawing back that tactile, connected, mindful activity of just putting pen to paper and seeing what comes out.
I love that idea of lawyers being able to make their mark, not just on, not just by putting pen to paper, but also in that it could potentially help them be better lawyers if they're able to develop new skills and have a different perspective on, not being such perfectionists, not being so
Yes,
competitive with themselves. And clearly, that's something that works for you. And as we were talking about earlier, is really a complementary thing for you as a lawyer.
I
Now, Sarah,
agree. Yeah, no, I agree. I'll just say to that too, that I think creativity is the skill of the future as well. And they say that if you don't feel that you have it naturally, that's actually a misnomer. We all can develop a sense of creativity and the creativity skill. So as AI threatens to loom over the legal profession and sort of take away the bread and butter activities that we do as lawyers, it's the creative thinking skills that are going to get us through to the next sort of wave and make the legal profession as relevant as it's ever been. So I would encourage lawyers to embrace their creativity and to not be afraid of putting themselves out there and trying something new.
Oh, I love that. Sarah, if lawyers listening to this or watching this, if they want to find out more about your art, if they want to see the awesome work that you've done, and also if they want to hear your podcast, how can they do so?
They need only go to www.briefcasepod.com. I've got all of my portraits up there. I'm also on LinkedIn. So if you follow me, Sarah-Elke Kraal on LinkedIn, you'll see the portraits as and when I upload them. So yeah, the website and LinkedIn is probably the best way to see them, or they can just reach out to me. I'd be so delighted and thrilled to share any sort of tips that I may have, rudimentary as they may be, sort of helping lawyers get a little bit more creative and open themselves up to that prospect.
Sarah-Elke Kraal, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me, Jerome.